Hey there, it's Diana from the Dianaverse, and I am here today to do the new moon in Virgo forecast for you. Just a quick announcement, I have a class coming up in the South Seattle area, an herbal class, mystical class. I'm doing a deep dive with Hawthorn, so if you're in this area, the class will be on September 23rd and 24th. You can go to my Instagram page and message me if you want more details about that, if you're interested in that. It's going to be a 2-day workshop, 6 hours each day, 10 to 4, and we will be exploring all the aspects of Hawthorn. We'll be doing a plant journey with it, discovering the folklore from a Northern European perspective around Hawthorn. We will be medicine making. We'll set up hydrosols, so you'll see how that works. We'll do some plant dyes. We will just be exploring every possible thing with the May Queen in autumn when she becomes the Kaliak. Bridget will hand off her baton to the Kaliak around Samhain, so it happens a little later, but we're doing this class around the fall equinox. Okay, on to the forecast. So, how's this new moon in Virgo treating you? It's been a little stressful for me. There's been the dark of the moon, right? Because we're coming up to the new moon. It's almost been a sort of a dark night of the soul, too. Like a lot of stuff that seems bigger than it normally would, as far as things that are problematic. So look in your own birth chart if you want to see what area of life this is aspecting for you. You can look at the house that it's in, where Virgo is, the moon is going to be passing through your chart. I just discovered a new place to do that. It's a free site. I love astro.com, and that's my go-to, but someone mentioned AstroSeek, SEEK.com, and it has some more bells and whistles that you can use. So you might try that. Either one will give you a free birth chart if you don't happen to have that already, and you can see where this is going to impact you. Of course, it's going to impact the earth signs. Virgo is an earth sign more than some of the other signs maybe. And you could have some other things, some other planets in Virgo besides the sun. You can also look at the moon, your ascendant, and if you're another earth sign, you might have a little more impact with this particular new moon. Now, this is a great new moon for starting things with your body. The earth signs are about the body. They're about practicality. They're about focus, because they're right here on earth. They're looking at what is. So, oh, and happy birthday to all my Virgos who haven't had their birthday yet. Want to slip that in there. So, Virgo, as I've mentioned in my previous forecast, is the head end of the celestial mermaid swimming through the skies. The tail of that mermaid is in Pisces. So we say we have the Virgo Pisces axis. They're connected, they're polarities. And where Pisces is the universal, the divine, the collective unconscious, the sea of all possibilities, Virgo is where it's brought to earth, because Pisces is actually a water sign. Virgo is that earth sign where it's brought. She's divining the divine will, if you will, and discerning what's the most important to take out of everything going on, and in a very practical sense with focus, bringing that to the earth plane. That's Virgo in her priestess capacity. So the shadow side of that can be nitpickiness, getting lost in the details, right? So you use that Pisces to kind of balance things out. Like when you're deciding what's important to be super focused on, you look at the big picture, and that would be Pisces. So, and the needs of the many, right? So that's a thing to consider at this new moon. We've got Mercury is going to go direct. It's still in its shadow, which means there's still like some lingering stuff going on, but it's moving direct. So things will start moving forward. I hope you've gone over like old paperwork, old things going on, details that you needed to catch up with during the retrograde. And if you haven't, now's the time to start taking action. With Venus also direct now, and she's in Leo. So that's about like our resources and our creativity, but you can't be creative if you don't have space for it. So use this Mercury going direct to clear out like stuff. I've been meaning to get around to cleaning out papers. I've heard several other astrologers mention this. Like if you got old paperwork from 10 years ago that you're never gonna need to look at again, get all that junk out of your space so you have room for all your new energy. Virgo rules the earth element, like I said, and in Chinese medicine, the earth element is often the transition between seasons. So this is when people can come down with illnesses, and we see COVID starting to ramp up for this year with its new variant. So take care of yourself if you're overexhausted, emotionally taxed, not eating well. I know I'm looking at, and I do this in the fall, I know other people do in January, but we just went through the summer with all the fruit, and you often end up adding sugar to fruity things, and I'm like ready to pare down on things like sugar intake. So if you have any digestive things going on, it could be because of this moon. We're still in that supermoon phase. We had a supermoon at the full moon, where what that means is that the moon is closer in its orbit to Earth than it is at other times when it's further away. It doesn't go in a perfectly circular orbit around us. There's a little bit of an ellipse to that. So it's a little closer, and so its pull on our bodies is a little bit stronger. And I've been really noticing that with my own digestion. I have stuff in Virgo. So pay attention to your diet. This is the new year for all your health routines during the Virgo moon, because Virgo is really in charge of the middle of the body there, that digestion that kind of supports the rest of the body. That's one thing to consider. And then we've got a grand trine going between the Sun and Uranus and Pluto. Now, trines are considered easy energy. So sometimes people think, well, it's great, it's easy, it's nice. It doesn't always mean that, especially when you're looking at Jupiter. It could just make things bigger and they just happen easily. So it's good to be prepared for any kinds of, you can't always be prepared, can you? But to be aware that anything that gets going could build momentum easily. Like we saw these huge earthquake in Morocco. I think they're up to 3,000 people that they're sure have been killed. There's probably more. And then we also had a really rare hurricane that hit Libya. Killed a lot of people, killed like 6,000 people, a lot. So I'm not sure what's going on with that longitude, because they're on the same longitude right there near the Mediterranean. I don't know enough about geomancy to be able to see like what might be going on that longitude, what planet. I would be guessing Jupiter, because it's been big, but I'm not adept at that particular astrological art of places on the earth, but clearly something is happening there, right? And I feel a lot of sympathy for those people. I would say there's probably something with a longer range. There will be a benefit, obviously not to the people who died and their families, because that's very traumatic. But I know I've heard the news talk about old crumbling infrastructure, or things not being done for the infrastructure because of the conflict in the region, which the U.S. has a hand in, clearly. But I think longer range, it will help them update and prepare better for emergencies. There must be a longer cycle going on. And on a human scale, we don't always see the benefit to that. And it can take a long time to look back and see how that initiated some changes maybe that needed to be changed. And I don't say that in any way to minimize the loss and the troubles that they're going through there. But life is bigger than the human species, right? Sometimes the designs going on are not things under our control, and it's good to recognize where you have control. Virgo loves to control the things that it can, but also to realize there are things beyond our control that we have to be flexible with. And Virgo is a mutable sign. It's in a sign where we're about to change seasons. So at least I think it's a mutable sign. I think Libra is the cardinal. Hope I have that right. You can correct me below if I'm wrong. So we want to be adaptable. We don't want to get stuck on things. I know I've had a little bit of that. I have Virgo, my Virgo planets are in the 7th house. That's the house of partnerships, business relationships, things where I have to interact with other people. It's also near my descendant, so where I want to be in my ascendant, all that Virgo stuff is on the other side. So that's not always fun for me because I have to bounce off of other people's needs or rules or whatever. And I've been dealing with a little bit of that. If you don't deal with difficult people in your life, you'll find that you will get new difficult people with the same kinds of parameters so that you can try it again. Yay. So part of that Uranus, and I didn't look up the exact aspect, but there was a square going on involving that planet, and that started in June, had some more stuff go on, say mid to end July, and now we're kind of getting to the results end of that, the closing square. So if you think back like to any situations, it started in June. I know I had someone hit my car, so I started a process of the repairs for that. And then in July, when Mercury was getting ready to go retrograde, I didn't get informed that those parts were in. So I've been waiting. Finally decided, well, it's a couple of weeks past when they said they would come in, so I'm going to call them. Lo and behold, they have been sitting there. So now, right at this new moon, when we're getting the closing square, I'm going to actually be able to take the car in, get the work done, and kind of wrap that up. So you might look for situations in your life that have been like that. If you didn't see a resolution going on in some way in July, you might check on that. You might make some phone calls or talk to some people, because this is the time that we want to kind of wrap something up, whatever it is for you. I can't say what that is. So I want to recommend for this lunation, well, one thing I want to recommend, if you happen to be getting up early, like I've been waking up 4 in the morning, yay. But I go out and I look at the stars and I'm trying to figure out which planets are which. And I'm getting conflicting information on the internet because Mercury was still retrograde. So it's like, is that Jupiter? Is that Venus? Like, it's been a little hard to figure out, but it's still a blessing to go out and look at those planets and stars out there that are just keeping on with their thing. Life goes on, right? And it's okay, and we adapt and do our little part of it. And stars can kind of remind us of that. There's a comet that's near where the sun comes up. It's a comet that only comes by, I believe, every 750 years, something like that. And it's dim, but you can see it about an hour and a half before sunrise. I've imagined that I've seen it. There's a lot of light pollution here. I'm probably seeing something else. But I've been told that you can see it kind of in the position. It's near Leo, so it's near where the sun comes up because it's heading towards the sun. And when it reaches the sun, it'll be slingshotted out into the universe to somewhere else for its orbit. But it's kind of fun to see these things that you can't see again in your lifetime. So I encourage you to explore that if you're into the astronomy. For herbs, our plant friends this month, I'm recommending adaptogenic things. I'm working with mushrooms. I found a beautiful primo artist conch, Ganoderma applanatum up in the mountains away from pollution, and I'm just really enjoying the smell and the energy of the plant. I haven't even ingested it yet. And also milky oats has been coming up for me a lot the last week. So whatever adaptogenic herbs you like, but those are two I'm recommending. The conch mushrooms for regulating your immune system, and elderberry also. Been collecting elderberry, milky oats. Just all your nice tonic herbs are good right now during this Earth Sun, Earth transition moment in Chinese medicine, between the seasons where we want to kind of build our body up and support it. Stone friends, I'm going with citrine so that hopefully you and I can profit off of the difficult people and situations that we're dealing with this week or so. Just for everything to be a blessing in your life. So in some way, it's going to bring you abundance. That sunny yellow citrine color, working with our solar plexus, which is in the chakra system. It's as a yellow ball of energy, and that citrine can help us focus on that, our earth focus, right? And you can put that on your altar. And if you haven't cleaned up your altar for a little while, I know I really need to do this. You've been putting, rocks and feathers and randoms, whatever, on your altar. It's time to take everything off, dust everything really well, and then with focus and intention, put things on your altar that are going to take you into the fall season. We're coming up on the fall equinox in about a week or so. So that time of balance. So things that help you think about balance is what I would recommend. All right, y'all, take care, and I hope you have a really great lunation with this new moon, a very creative and focused new moon ritual that you can do, building your altar, looking at the stars, and hope you have a warm and lovely swim through the cosmos for these next 2 weeks till I see you again. All right, take care. Bye. Oh, I had one more thing I was going to mention. I'm reading a book. It's called The Flowering Wand by Sophie Strand, and she's rewilding the sacred masculine. So she's taking some of some of the myths from like ancient Greece or Rome and tracing their origins back a little further. I mean, she is interpolating a little bit on what she thinks they were before patriarchy and giving the masculine a little more room to breathe and be creative. And I found it really interesting. I'm feeling like right now with the fall equinox in Virgo, it's harvest season. There's a bit of a Dionysus feel to it. So it's like, we just love the earth so much, we're going to eat it up, right? So you might consider all things Dionysian, the enjoyment of the pleasures of love and food, and also keeping in mind with Virgo to set yourself limits and boundaries, especially if you have to deal with any difficult people. But think about the boundary. Don't just like knee-jerk react. I do it myself. I react instead of acting, but that's why I'm always reminding you, because I'm taking my own example of thinking through what it is about the person that triggers you and how it might show you something you need to work on in yourself so that you can set healthy boundaries that work for you. Okay. And that's all I have to say now. All right. Bye, y'all.